Well, hello there. My name is Cubby, and welcome to another edition of CEOs You Should Know. And today I'm with Naveen Jain, and we're thrilled to have you here, Naveen. Welcome. A little background on Naveen. As founder and CEO of Viome, Naveen is leading a revolution in personalized health and longevity. Viome's AI-powered mRNA analysis decodes the complex relationship between food, the microbiome, and human cells, paving the way for early diagnostics and proactive wellness to prevent chronic disease. Can you begin, Naveen, if you could, by sharing a bit about your story and what led you to creating Viome?
Well, first of all, Cubby, you just read that stuff off. I don't think you even a word you believed it, what you said.
Well, I will say mRNA, there are a few things I have to learn about here. So if you could explain.
Of course. So, Cubby, I started Viome 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
When my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I was running a company, Moon Express, to mine the moon for helium-3 for building a fusion reactors.
And that would explain the lapel.
Yes. And obviously here I'm thinking that I am on top of the world. And yet there was nothing I could do to save my dad's life. And I decided that this is not the thing what I want to do. I'm going to go focus on understanding the human body and what causes the human body to become sick. What's really interesting is I just took it for granted that as he was aging, of course he's going to have diabetes.
Right.
Of course he's going to have high blood pressure. Of course he's going to have a heart disease. And these are just how people age. And then it occurred to me that there is nothing in the human body that had changed over the last 100 years. Yet, more and younger people are actually getting sicker and sicker with a whole bunch of chronic diseases, whether we call them depression, whether we call them diabetes or obesity. These are all the diseases that we human body weren't supposed to have. So I decided I'm going to actually understand what was going on. And it took me down the path of wanting to know what changes in the human biology at the onset and during the progression of these chronic diseases. And the biggest thing that really to me was a breakthrough was a basic understanding that everyone in the industry makes money today when you and I are sick. And
Right.
No one makes money when we are healthy. So think about it for a second.
Great point.
Right? Medical industrial complex only makes money when their customers are unhappy. The day their customers become happy,
Right.
they stop making money.
They stop making money.
And they become unhappy.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Right.
So whole thing was that I said, we as human species, what if we could do something where we could be empowered to understand exactly what is going on in our body and what we can do about it? Led me down the path of understanding the idea of gene expression and not your genes. And I'm going to explain in a second here. Your DNA is what everyone wanted to know. So when I started the company, everyone was focused on understanding your DNA. Well, DNA is our genes that never change. This is what we inherit from our mom and dad. It turns out that if you gain 200 pounds, your DNA doesn't change, right? If you do a DNA test, if you become diabetic, your DNA doesn't change, or heart disease, or even for that matter, after you die. So DNA can't even tell you you're dead or alive, let alone are you healthier or sicker. And what's constantly changing is your gene expression or your RNA, right? So imagine this, a single cell, right? You remember the high school biology?
Yeah.
A single cell really multiplies, it becomes your hair, your skin, your eyes, your nails, your lungs, your liver, your kidney, your neurons. The same thing. Same DNA can make everything. The reason we don't have the eyes growing on my finger and the nails growing on my head is some different genes are expressed when they become nail and different genes are expressed when they become eye. So it is really the expression of the genes that makes you who you are. Like DNA is an alphabet and RNA is a story you're writing. So what story are you writing is what causes your body to behave in a certain way.
Well, seeing my mom and dad, they're much older, of course. Is that going to be me? Is that what my DNA is saying? Or
that is exactly what is wrong with our thinking. Our DNA is not our destiny. The reason we people say that is because it takes away all the guilt of doing the wrong things and blame our ancestors.
Right.
The reason I'm sick is because I got the bad genes.
Right.
I don't need to take responsibility that I'm eating burger and fries because it's just bad genes I have.
What about my hair, though?
Well,
Could that have been passed down?
well, it's really interesting is that, as I said, my dad obviously ended up, ended up losing my dad to pancreatic cancer and within 3 months of his diagnosis. My mom is healthy at 88, but still has a whole bunch of these chronic diseases. She takes the, blood pressure medicine. She takes the cholesterol medicine. She takes the diabetes medicine. And she takes 20 medicines because she's 88. And here, I'm just so happy today that at 66, I take 0 pharmaceutical drugs.
Really?
Yeah. And my biological age now is down to 33.
You also don't drink.
I don't drink as well.
Right.
Now, what does Viome really do? So this is an at-home test, Kabhi. You order the test, you go to Viome.com, which is V as in Victor, IOME.com. You order a test called Full Body Intelligence. You send us a spit of your saliva, finger prick blood, 4 drops of your finger prick blood, and touch of your stool. And then we analyze 100 million biomarkers in your body.
Just from that?
Just from that.
Wow.
So you're looking at your saliva, and that allows us to look at your oral microbial activity. We look at your stool for your gut microbial activity and all the gut lining. And then we look at the blood for your mitochondria and all your immune system. And by looking at these 100 million biomarkers, now I can tell you your biological age, your brain health, your heart health, your gut health, your oral health, your immune health.
So I'm 53 years old, so my heart could be younger or older, depending on how I've been treating
That's
it. Really.
right. And it really could be the person you're kissing, right? Is because your oral microbiome gets changed every time you exchange saliva.
Wow.
Right? So, and your oral microbiome is responsible for your diabetes, your heart disease, your Alzheimer, and even many types of cancer and sexual health.
Wow.
Right? So the person you kiss can actually break your heart. Right? Literally.
Right,
so when you say, oh my God, is my boyfriend or girlfriend is a heartbreaker? We can actually tell you he or she is a heartbreaker. Right?
Can you tell me more about reversing biological age?
Of course.
Because I know you can walk us through how it's actually possible and what role Viome plays in that process.
So let's step back for a second. So once we tell you exactly what's happening in your body, then we tell you why do you have, for example, a high blood pressure? Why do you have the high cholesterol? So your high cholesterol could be coming in because the food that you're eating that are high in choline, such as tofu or red meat, is actually being converted into TMA that causes your liver to make TMAO, which causes the plaque in your arteries, right? So now we can actually look at everything that's happening in your body. Those are 100 million biomarkers. Now I can tell you, Kabhi, don't eat avocado right now because your uric acid production is too high. You're going to end up developing a gout.
So even though it's healthy, some things might not be healthy for that particular person.
And right now, but not forever.
Right.
So today, you may think avocado is healthy and you're eating healthy, but you may be actually harming. For example, our daughter was always eating spinach and kale thinking she was eating healthy. Well, it turns out her oxalates were not being metabolized, and not only she developed the kidney stone, she was also had a whole bunch of stomach issues, the digestive issues and the bloating because of the oxalates issues. Or broccoli could be harming you because your sulfide in the sulfide production is too high.
Don't tell my 5-year-old daughter that.
All right. Well, but guess what?
Because she hates broccoli, and if she heard that, she'd be like, see, I don't need to have broccoli.
But guess what? She need to do a test and find out if broccoli is good for her or not.
Right.
So what we do is we tell you every food, is it good for you and why? Is it bad for you and why? And then we walk you through every single nutrition your body is lacking. What vitamins you need, what minerals you need, what food extracts you need, what digestive enzyme you need, what amino acids you need. And we tell you exactly what ingredients in what quantity you need. And we custom make it only for you every month. Only with those ingredients that your body needs, only in the dosage that your body needs. And we ship it to you every month. And then we personalize the probiotics and prebiotics for your gut. oral lozenges for your oral microbiome, even a personalized toothpaste that designed based on your oral microbiome. And for morning,
That's so cool.
precisely what you need in the morning, and completely different toothpaste that you need for the evening to adjust your oral microbiome. But here's the best part, Kabhi. If you follow that, we did double-blinded, randomized, placebo-controlled trial. And we showed people that within 90 days, the people who have IBS, 15% of all of us have IBS, which is constipation, stomach ache, bloating, diarrhea. In 90 days, 64% of the people who had IBS became healthy compared to 10% on placebo.
Wow.
Diabetes went down by 30%, fasting insulin down by 25%. Depression, which most people think is in the brain, it actually comes from your gut. Your gut-brain axis, using actually the vagus nerve, we were able to show 50% reduction in clinical depression, 47% reduction in anxiety, simply changing the food and supplements.
Yeah, the testimonials have been amazing. Sleep quality, brain health, digestive health, overall health, mood and energy. I mean, what are you most proud of to date?
Well, what we are most proud of is that not only we have helped 1 million people whose life have changed because of us, and we are on our way to be helping billion people to actually live healthier. Now, the next thing is, from all this information now we are learning about human biology, we are able to detect stage 1 cancer in your mouth and throat from your saliva alone. And we have received FDA breakthrough device designation for detecting oral cancer. And what I am most proud is we're going to be soon launching a test to detect stage 1 pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
Think about that for a second.
Amazing.
The pancreatic cancer has never been detected until stage 3 or stage 4.
And that's why it's such a killer, unfortunately.
Such a killer, unfortunately.
There's no time.
There is no symptom until stage 4. And it's no one ever survives that. So imagine detecting a stage 1 pancreatic cancer. And if my dad is listening to it, at least he will know that I did exactly what I set out to do.
Amen.
To detect early stage cancer.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm most proud of. And by the way, we can detect early IBD, which is Crohn or colitis. We can detect colon polyps now, which are actually 7 to 10 years before you develop a colon cancer.
Amazing. You know, Viome is the only company actually offering a direct-to-customer healthcare test that analyzes microbiome
Yes.
and human gene expressions.
Yes.
And it comes from an LA lab. Is that what it is?
Los Alamos National Lab, which is famous for atomic bomb.
Really?
Yes.
So what's next? Like, how do you plan to continue to lead the way for health and longevity revolution?
Well, very simple is, as we are starting to analyze more and more people, we are starting to understand exactly what is causing people to develop Parkinson's, Alzheimer, cancer, brain fog, energy, skin diseases, any type of diseases. As we understand more, we really believe the future of healthcare will be delivered at home, not at the hospitals. And the medicines of the future are going to come from a farm, not a pharmacy.
Wow.
Right? And that's fundamental is Hippocrates, 2,500 years ago said, let food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be the food. And remember, another wise man said, one man's food is another man's poison. So just because it worked for your spouse or your brother, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. If food, there is no such thing as universal healthy food. However, there is always unhealthy food that are bad for everyone, but there is no food that's good for everyone.
Right.
So when you think you're eating healthy, you don't know you're actually eating healthy, or you're actually eating food that's harming you, even though you think it is healthy for you.
So Viome is a full body check, really. Some people might be listening thinking, is it just for weight loss?
No.
Is it just for sleeping? And it's really a full body scan almost.
That's why it's called full body intelligence.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing. So here's my question to you. You said before your genes are not your destiny.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? How does Viome help people change their narrative?
Well, it's very simple. We did the test on identical twins. They have identical DNA, and you fed them exactly the same food, and it was a completely different response.
Really?
Because their microbiome. Remember, 100 trillion microbes live in our gut, in our mouth, and all over us. 99% of all the genes in our body don't come from our mom and dad. They actually come from these microbes. So even though you have identical DNA and you have identical food, they are actually digested completely differently. And we saw that one of the twin may spike their blood glucose with bread, and other twin may not have any response to it, but they spike with the banana. Right. And that's the reason some people we know can eat bread all day and never get fat.
Right.
And some of us could just smell bread and get fat.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing why that works. I don't know, but it happens. You're right. And building a platform, this is incredibly advanced. You're offering unprecedented visibility in your body, and that has to be hard. I mean, is that easy?
Well, it's nothing in life that is worth doing is easy. But good thing is artificial intelligence really allows us to analyze the quadrillions of data. So think about today, with 1 million people, we are analyzing 100 quadrillion biological data point using AI. And that is the only way we can actually do. So the reason we believe that this problem is finally being solved is our understanding of gene expression, our understanding of gut microbiome, our understanding of oral microbiome, and using artificial intelligence to tell you what is happening in your body, why it is happening, what foods you should eat and why, what foods you should avoid and why, what are the supplements and the probiotics and the things you need in your body to stay healthy, and that's what will reduce your biological age, and that will actually reduce the inflammation in your body. Because at the end of the day, the chronic inflammation is a root cause of chronic diseases.
Wow. When you get this answer, like when the results come back and you find out, your complete body, what's going on with you, how long are you good for? How long do you follow that plan? Is it 6 months, a year, for life?
Yeah, so actually every 6 months you have to retest because your body completely changes. And it changes because now you change your diet. So your microbiome and your body adapts to it. So now you have to change, just like exercise. It's not like you can do once a year and say, I'm done.
Right.
Right? So you have to actually, as your body is changing, and your body changes because the people you meet, the stress you put on your body, the exercise that you do or you don't do, the sleep, whether you're actually sleeping well or not, and really being around the people you love and the purpose you have in life. The people who live a life of purpose tend to live 10 to 15 years longer than the people who have no purpose. So find something you're willing to die for and then live for it.
We were talking about sleep actually before we kicked off the interview, and like 5 hours of sleep is not good. But you said actually if you get 5 hours of good REM and everything that comes with sleep, that's okay.
Like many things in life, Cubby, it is the quality that matters, not just the quantity, right? So getting the amount of REM sleep and amount of deep sleep is really important. So if you need every day, if you can get hour and a half of REM sleep and about hour and 15 minutes of deep sleep, and if you can get that in 5 hours, you will be completely fine. If you need 6, take 6. If you need 7, take 7. But make sure you get enough REM sleep and deep sleep, and you should measure. You can't improve something that you can't measure.
Right.
So if you measure it, you can improve it. And
also, and no drinking too, what you said.
So
I indulge in an adult beverage for the evening. I enjoy my happy hour wine, and
I think you should, but you should do that once a year.
Really? Once a year? I thought you were going to say once a week, maybe.
No, the point is really alcohol is not good for your body. Anyone who tells you, despite people telling you red wine is good for you, that is a complete myth.
Right.
It actually completely disrupts your sleep and circadian rhythm. Even if you drink half a glass of wine, you will notice that day, if you are measuring your sleep, that your REM sleep and deep sleep will be completely disturbed. And also, make sure you don't eat 3 hours before sleeping.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm doing that actually. I go to bed around 9 and I eat around 5:30. That's good.
That's
right?
really good.
I used to be a later eater, but I'm better.
But no wine, no
wine.
alcohol, right?
Right.
And if you really need to do that. Maybe occasionally, and occasionally means never.
Right. You're coming through. Your passion for human wellness, it really comes through. And what's one practical piece of advice you'd give listeners who want to take their health into their own hands and start improving their, longevity and just overall,
So basically, just like the Maslow's hierarchy, the number one thing they can do is eat right. If you don't have the right nutrition in the body, nothing matters.
But again, you could be thinking you're eating right and not eating right.
So don't guess, test.
Right.
Once you test, find out exactly what foods are good for you and eat those foods. And number two things will be reduce the stress. When you are stressed, your body goes into fight or flight response. And when you're in fight or flight response, it shuts down what it considered non-essential system. You're being chased by a tiger. It says, don't worry about digesting your food because you're going to be lunch for someone else.
Right.
And the two things happen. Either you got eaten and your stress went away, or you survived and your stress went away. Right? But in today's environment, we're constantly stressed. And that's the reason when you are stressed, your immune system is not working properly. You get sick more often. Your digestive system is not working, and you suddenly are not able to get the proper nutrition from your body, right? So the two things you need to do, make sure you're able to calm yourself down. And a lot of people do the prayer and gratitude before they eat so that they can move from stress, fight or flight, into the sympathetic mode to the parasympathetic mode, right? But main thing is to get rid of the cause of the stress. So if your boss is stressing you out, quit your job. If your spouse is stressing you out, do what you need to do, right? But you need to really reduce the stress in your body. And then make sure you're walking and you're getting enough movement in your body. So make sure you're walking 5-6 miles, slight uphill. And as you start to get older, make sure you're doing some of the strength training, which is body weight. Do some push-ups, do some squat, do some lunges, but just do something, right?
If I do a test with Viome, what am I going to get? What information will I get back? Am I going to have a plan? Am I going to have like a whole schedule and exactly what to do?
Yeah, so you're going to get in your app is going to tell you exactly, first of all, what is going on.
Like how much exercise, how much sleep, what I should be eating?
It's going to first of all tell you what is first of all going on in your body. What is your brain health? How does your brain is currently there? Because you can't improve something unless I show you this is your score now, and if you change your habit, this is where you are now, right? So it tells you what is going on, why it is happening. Right? So we can say, look, the reason you have constipation is because you have high methane gas. And once you have high methane gas, it slows down how food moves in your gut lining, causing you constipation, right? So now to do that, here are the foods you should eat. Here are the foods you should avoid. Here are the supplements you need. Here are the probiotics and prebiotics you need. And we give you exactly the whole formula. And then we give you general guidelines. So food is completely personalized. Your supplements are completely custom made just for you. Your personalized probiotics, your personalized oral lozenges, and your personalized toothpaste. So when you go there, make sure you order the test called Full Body Intelligence. So you go to Viome.com, you order the test, and then you send us your saliva, finger prick, blood, and stool. And 9 days later...
I just send my underwear to you, basically.
Well, not quite. Because it needs to be fresh.
Okay. I'm just having some fun with you.
Yeah. It's okay. So point is, the thing is, in 9 days later, in your app, you have everything that you need. And the reason we started this company was our tagline has always been the same. Imagine living in a world where illness is optional. That means it is your choice. All we do is tell you what you need to do to stay healthy, but the choice is entirely yours.
Wow. This is already so cool and so like futuristic, but like what's on the horizon with Viome? I mean, I'm sure you're working on even more.
Yeah, so idea really is to understand as we get deeper and deeper understanding what else we could do. So the things that are your superfood, what we can actually put a superfood pack just for you that's custom made. So you're not just simply drinking the green smoothie. We only put the stuff that your body needs, and it may not need spinach or kale or broccoli. So we're going to put every superfood that your body needs and put them in a superfood pack. Understanding the early diagnosis. So not only just early diagnosing pancreatic cancer, oral cancer, throat cancer. What if every cancer can be diagnosed at stage 1? What if every single disease is diagnosed before you actually have a symptom? Because your body is constantly sending out the signal, please don't do this, please don't do that. And by the time you get the symptom, it is body's last cry. I just can't deal with this anymore.
Right.
You don't develop diabetes or heart disease like saying, I was going out with the boys last night, I think I might have caught diabetes. You don't catch diabetes.
Right.
You develop it over 8 or 10 years. That means these things can be actually diagnosed very early while they are still curable. Right.
So the things your parents might have gotten doesn't mean you're going to get them.
That is absolutely correct.
Right.
So in fact, the idea of your genes are your destiny and you're destined for bad luck is really avoiding the personal responsibility. You, at any age, I don't care whether you are 10 years old, whether you are 80 years old, if you change your lifestyle, you're going to get healthier. At any age, I started my journey at 55. And I was...
Which, by the way, I swear I'm not kissing your butt. I really thought you were in your mid-50s or late 50s.
But here's really interesting.
But you said you're 66, right?
I'm 66.
It's amazing.
I am healthier today than I was when I was in 40s. Right? I've lost 25 pounds. I have more energy. I run up the 2 stairs at a time.
Did you ever drink, by the way? Did you ever eat bad food?
I used to drink wine once, at least a glass or 2 every day. I thought it was a really good thing to do. I enjoyed a good, nice Cabernet every evening. And we go out and a glass or 2 of red wine. But
even cutting that out made you feel better.
Well, cutting that out got me to sleep better.
Right.
But what really changed was the foods that I really thought I was eating healthy. So in the beginning, believe it or not, this Indian boy was told that I need to cut down my lentils and my turmeric. And I thought, how can you make Indian food without turmeric?
Right.
I said, don't people know that yellow color comes from turmeric? Well, guess what? And literally, as I started to adjust my diet, 12 months later, I could eat turmeric and lentil. Now they're my superfoods, right? So as my body changed, suddenly inflammation in my body went away, right? As inflammation went away, the things that I used to think was actually about calorie in, calorie out, like weight, the weight came down because inflammation came down, right? And that's the key. When you think you are fat, it's really, your body is really burning inside this flame. When people have eczema, it is not a skin disease.
I have it actually, yeah.
But that's really the inflammation in your body, the fire burning inside. You can put all the thing on the top, but the fire is still burning.
Wow.
So until you reduce the inflammation, you get the good, smooth skin. So like your mom said, beauty comes from inside.
Right.
That's what me and Bud, your gut. Remember, everything comes down to your gut. Hippocrates, I was talking about earlier, one of the first things he said was, all diseases begin in the gut. Right? So when you say, listen to your gut, and what they mean is go do a Viome test.
Wow, yeah. well said. And do you get sick less often? I mean, because it sounds like your body is like so fine-tuned at this point. You're just perfect almost.
It's really interesting that, my wife had COVID. I slept next to her, never developed COVID.
Really?
She had pneumonia. I refused to, peel myself away. And
your immune system's
my immune system
really
is
stepped up.
so strong.
Right.
It's because I'm taking good care of my body. And if your immune system is strong, doesn't mean you're not going to be exposed to the things. But guess what? Your immune system is dealing with it.
Right. Is there one thing you want people to take away from your mission? Like, what would that be?
The number one thing will be, you have the power to stay healthy. It's not your mom and dad.
It's your choice.
It's your choice. If you know you want to be healthy, just like they say, being healthy is a choice, being sick is a choice. So if you believe you want to be sick, that's the choice you are making. That means every single day, the things we do are the ones that cause us to be sick, not bad luck. So when you get sick, don't say I have a bad luck. Just say I made bad choices.
So it's a simple mindset almost?
Well, no, simple diet.
Well, yeah.
Lifestyle, right? So it is nutrition, it is sleep, it is exercise, it is stress, and it is a mindset. All of that, but it starts with believing that I want to be healthy. Right. If you don't want to be healthy, no one can ever make you healthy unless you make a decision to be healthy.
All right. Lastly, Naveen, is there a call to action that you'd like to share? Like, how can people engage or support the work you're doing?
Well, as I said, we have helped 1 million people. And I really believe this is a problem that we as human species, if we come together, we can solve. If we can get 10 million people to do the test, we will have enough data to understand every single disease, why we as co-humans are developing, and we can diagnose them early and we can prevent the diseases from happening. So if you're listening to it, please go to Viome.com. It will help you today to become healthier, and you're going to benefit from the 1 million people who came before you because of what we learned from them. And then you contribute to the data that will help the next person come along from the 1,000,001 person because you came along. And together we can solve this problem. So go to Viome.com, Viome.com, and order a full body intelligence test. And don't forget to get your personalized supplements and biotics.
I'm doing it now. I'm typing away right now. Naveen, I've learned so much. And listen, I'm a fan. You're inspirational. And I can't thank you enough for being here. I learned a lot.
So, Kabi, a question for you. What are you going to do as an action item from this talk?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a damn test. Is what I'm gonna do.
How are you going to? Where are you going to go to get it?
I'm gonna go to viome.com, and then I'm gonna send in my blood,
Yeah.
stool,
And saliva. Yeah.
and then I'm good to go. And then how long until I get my results?
9 days.
9 days.
Yeah.
And then I'll be a brand new person in 10 days.
After you start following the foods that you need to avoid, stop drinking and making sure you're eating the food that are good for you and not eating the foods that are not good for you, taking your supplements, taking your probiotics, exercising, reducing your stress, and sleeping well.
Give me a high five right now.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Yeah! Naveen Jain, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.